Hey everybody, Orville Johnson here for Peghead Nation, and today we're going to work on a little tune that I made up to illustrate a concept. And that concept is what I call and what I have heard referred to as heavy time. And the thing about this is that, differentiates it from any other kind of time is that a lot of times when you're playing the country blues finger picking style, when you're taking your example from people like Mississippi John Hurt or Blind Willie McTell, people that use that constant sort of alternating bass, a lot of times that music sounds a little bouncy. It's kind of bouncy. It's a little jaunty sounding in places, which is great. But then sometimes you hear people playing a time feel that is more driving and more just kind of forceful. And that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about today, this idea of heavy time. So what we were doing, the thing that really propels that, it's really about what your thumb is doing. And so in this case, we're going to play this little tune in the key of A. And our thumb is going to just constantly be pounding the beat. So let me play this for you. Okay, so that is a little bit of heavy time for you. And so what I was doing there, as I mentioned, I'm playing that constant driving beat with my thumb. And something else I did is that's different from some of the other styles of finger picking blues. In this case, I played all the melody notes just with one finger. I just used my index finger. And the thing about that is that when you look at some of the great, classic players like John Hurt, in the country field, Merle Travis, Doc Watson, who played a lot of this, fingerstyle blues, a lot of those guys only used their index finger. They didn't use index and middle. And while it's great to use your index and middle, I encourage that, on a lot of the pieces that we will look at, index and middle is a good thing. But there's actually just using one finger really kind of changes a little bit about the feeling of the time. And so for this piece, I was just using my thumb, keeping that constant beat, and I played all the licks on the high strings just with my index finger. So let's take a look at that. So the chords that I was using are this A. So that's kind of a long, what we call the long A. So I'm barring strings 2, 3, and 4 with my index finger. I'm reaching up with my little finger to get that A on the first string at the 5th fret. And then I'm alternating. I'm lifting up my little finger and then using my middle finger to fret the first string at 3 to give me an A7th chord. So the first thing I'm doing is alternating between those two fingers on that A chord. Then I'm sliding that shape up to the 5th fret, and then the melody notes I'm using when I get up here are So that's at fret 8 and 7. And I'm using my pinky and my ring finger to get that. And then I'm going back to the A. And then when I change to the D, the 4 chord, I'm using a D7 shape. And then I'm sliding that up so that my shape is on my middle and ring finger are at the 5th fret. And then my index is here at the 4th. So I'm just taking that D7 shape and sliding it up. And then I'm going back to the A shape. And then I'm going to the E. And then back to the A. So our chord progression is going from the A, then sliding that up to the 5th fret, and then back to the A. Then we're going to the D7, we're sliding that up, and then we're going back to the A. Then we're going to the E for a while, and back to the A. And so my thumb is trying to, hammer the A string while I'm on the A chord, and even when I go up to the 5th fret here, I mean, technically, that's not an A chord. I don't really want to get into the music theory of what that chord is. I just want you to play it like I show it to you. But I'm going to keep hammering on the A string for my bass string while I do that. And so then when I change to the D chord, I'm going to hammer on the D string. And when I change to the E chord, I'm going to hammer on the E string. So I've got bass notes to touch for every one of these chords. And so now what I'm doing for the melodic part of it is this. So I'm hitting the downbeat. My melody note starts after the downbeat. And I'm hitting the first string at 5. Then I'm hitting the second string, which I'm fretting, with my index finger down here at 2. Then I'm hitting the first string at 3 and then back up to 5. So my little melodic figure is sounding like ba ba da da. Okay, that's while we're on the A chord. Then when I slide up here to the 5th fret, I'm playing the same rhythmic accents on the melodic figure, but I'm changing the notes. I'm playing so that I'm still playing, the first note on the first string up here at 8. Then I'm plucking the second string, which I'm now fretting at 5 with my index finger, and then I'm playing the first string at 7 with my ring finger, and then at 8 again. Then back to the A. So I added a little bit to the melodic figure there. I did the da, 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 and then using the same notes, I play this da, 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 da. So I end up on the 3rd fret in this part of the melody. Now I'm going to change to the D chord. And you notice I'm kind of playing the same rhythmic figure with my finger, but we're hearing different notes, of course, because we changed the chords there. So I'm playing, I'm holding the D7 shape. I'm hitting that first string at 2, and then hitting the second string, which I'm holding at 1. Then I'm playing the first string open, and then at 2 again. Then I do that same thing up here at the 5th fret, but it creates, you can hear the sort of dissonant sound that you get. I'm playing the exact same rhythmic figure with my index finger, but we get that dissonance between the open E string and the E flat. That's lovely, isn't it? Luckily, it doesn't last very long. And then we go right back to the A chord. And there we're playing that longer melodic figure that I played earlier. That ends with my fretting with my middle finger on the 3rd fret of the 1st string. Now we're changing to the E chord. And now I'm just trying to get a little bluesy bend on the 1st string at the 3rd fret with my little finger. Times, and then back to the A. So that's a little exercise, really, a little thing that I made up for you to practice this particular type of time with your thumb. And one other thing about what you're doing with your thumb is to, try to hit more than one string. Make sure when you're hammering that time that you're almost hitting the chord with it. So work on that and get into some heavy time. Orville Johnson here. Come on back, see me again. This is Peghead Nation.